Hello students, welcome back. So before starting today's class, let us start Brahmanad. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Swasthya. So last class we studied about structural isomerism and Werner's theory. So now here today we are going to study a new parts of this coordination chemistry, that is valency bond theory. So it explains about the bonding and the nature of compounds. So to explain the bonding and nature of compounds, another theory, valency bond theory, and this theory is generally based on hybridization concept. Valency bond theory, so it based on hybridization concept. Hybridization concept. Okay. So what happens? What are the different postulates of this theory? So first, the central metal atom made available that many number of empty orbitals according to its coordination number. So if the coordination number is 6, then it make available 6 vacant orbitals. If 4, then it make available 4 vacant orbitals. And to form these vacant orbitals, and then vacant orbitals, so different vacant orbitals, these undergo hybridization to give the equivalent shape hybrid orbitals. So these vacant orbitals, they undergo hybridization. So first it make available empty orbitals. Next, the empty orbitals undergo hybridization. The empty orbitals undergo hybridization to give a particular shape to the complex. For example, if the coordination number is 6, then it either undergo D2sp3 hybrid orbital, D2sp3 hybridization, or it may undergo sp3d2 hybridization. So to give the shape octahedral. Similarly, if the coordination number is 4, then either it undergo sp3 hybridization or it may undergo dsp2 hybridization. In some cases undergo sp2d hybridization. So in sp3 hybridization, the shape is tetrahedral, and if dsp2 or sp2 hybridization, then the shape is square planar. Okay, so in this way, due to this hybridization, these orbitals or these complexes get particular shape. Next, these ligands have at least one sigma orbital which contain lone pair of electron. Okay, so next point, the ligands should have at least one sigma orbital which contain lone pair of electrons, and these lone pair of electrons to donate the electron pair to the empty orbitals. This lone pair of electrons, the ligands donate the pair of electrons to these hybrid orbitals. Okay. Next, these hybrid orbitals then these hybridized orbitals or hybrid orbitals then form, then overlap with these hybrid orbitals, then overlap with sigma orbital of ligand, to form ligand metal coordinate bond. So then it form ligand metal coordinate bond. Okay, so these hybrid orbitals, overlap with sigma orbital of metal to form ligand metal coordinate bond. Okay, next, so in this type of hybridization, for the hybridization, the d orbitals either use inner d orbital n-1d, ns and its np orbitals, or it may use ns, np and nd orbitals for hybridization. For hybridization, these metal atom either use n-1d, that is inner d, outer s, outer p, or outer s, p and d orbitals to undergo for its hybridization. Okay, so after hybridization, what are the shapes are formed? Then the electrons are filled in various orbitals. Actually the non-bonded electrons, so the non-bonded orbitals generally filled by electrons according to Horn's rule. The non-bonded or non-hybridized or non-bonded orbitals are filled by electrons according to Horn's rule. Okay, so electrons are filled by Horn's rule. If there is a presence of some strong field ligand, then in some cases it may violate Horn's rule. In some cases it violates Horn's rule if there is presence of strong field ligands. And if what are the vacant orbitals? And these are filled by electrons, pair electrons by the ligand. So hybridized orbitals filled by paired electrons of ligands, and the unhybridized orbitals generally filled by the electrons of metal atom. Okay, so in some cases it obeys Horn's rule, and in some cases it may violate Horn's rule. Then if there is presence of any unpaired electron, then it can exhibit paramagnetism. If all the electrons are paired, then it gives diamagnetism. Okay, if the electrons are paired, then diamagnetism. If the orbitals contain unpaired electron, then that becomes your paramagnetic. And the magnetic moment can be determined by the formula n into n plus 2 root over Bm. The magnetic moment mu can be determined by the formula n into n plus 2 Bm, Bohr magneton. So from this magnetic susceptibility value, we also determine what is the shape of orbitals. What is the shape of orbitals and what is the shape of complex. Okay, so these are the different postulates of valency bond theory. Now let us discuss some examples. Okay, for example, FeCN whole 6 4 minus, formation of hexacyanoferrate ion. Okay, so here the electronic configuration of iron, generally we know the electronic configuration of iron, that is argon 18, then 4s2 3d6, and in this case oxidation number of iron, that is +2. That means 2 electrons are lost here. In this way, Fe2 plus, it has electronic configuration argon 3d6. So if we arrange in box diagram, then for Fe, how I can write? This is 3d, okay, iron 26, so it is argon, then 3d, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4s, 4p and 4d. Orbital is there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 4p, 4d, 4s and 3d. So in this case, argon 18, then 4h2 and 3d6. This is the electronic configuration of iron. But in case of Fe2 plus, what happens? Argon, 2 electrons removed from this 4s, and this electronic configuration now becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4s here vacant, 4p here vacant, and 4d also here vacant. Okay, so one in this way. But actually, if there is next for the acceptance of this electrons of ligands, for the acceptance of electrons of ligands, this Fe2 plus ion have to make that many number of orbitals vacant. So there are so many orbitals vacant, it can make vacant. But actually, experimentally the magnetic moment of this compound is found to be 0. So experimentally, this mu value found to be 0. If it use sp3d2, then there should be 4 unpaired electron. So as there should be 4 unpaired electron, it should have some magnetic moment. So it should be paramagnetic nature. But actually this compound is not paramagnetic nature. So in this case, as this magnetic moment 0, that means these electrons get paired. So to make these electrons get paired, this goes against Hund's rule and these electrons get paired, and 2d orbitals here remain vacant. Okay, so in this way, under the influence of these ligands, now it has configuration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here 4s and 4p. No need to write this 4d. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here 1d, 2d orbital, 1s orbital and 3p orbital. Okay. So here 2d orbital, 1s orbital and 3p orbital. That is 4p orbital. This is 4s orbital and 2 3d orbitals. They undergo hybridization to form d2sp3 hybridization. It undergone d2sp3 hybridization. It undergone d2sp3 hybridization. Okay, so after it undergo d2sp3 hybridization, now it has octahedral shape, and these cyanide ions, now these cyanide ions donates the pair of electron. These cyanide ions donate the pair of electron to these hybrid orbitals. Now this donate the pair of electron to these hybrid orbitals. In this way, this complex FeCN6 4 minus is formed. So then, what is the shape of the orbital? The shape of the orbital is octahedral. The shape is octahedral. Then, what is the hybridization? What is the hybridization? D to sp3. What is the magnetic moment? No pair of electrons. Magnetic moment 0. And what is its nature? Nature is diamagnetic. Okay. So in this way we explain the nature and shape of FeCN6 ion. Next come to another example of this iron complex, but here cyanide is a strong field ligand. If there is presence of any weak field ligand, then what happens? Okay, let us take another example. That is FeF6 3 minus, formation of FeF6 3 minus. So here what is the coordination number? Coordination number is 6 because 6 ligands. And what is the oxidation number? Oxidation number, suppose you have to write X plus 6 into minus 1 equal to minus 3, X equal to plus 3. Okay, so X equal to plus 3. So in this way the oxidation number is plus 3. So oxidation number of iron here plus 3. Next, so you know the electronic configuration of iron again, that is 4s2 argon, 4s2 3d6, and Fe 3 plus has configuration argon, then 3d5. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration. If we arrange this in box diagram, then Fe, the outer electronic configuration. So first 3d 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Then come to this one for 4s, and this one for 4p, and this one for 4d. 4d, 4p, and 3d. So as the coordination number is 6, either it undergo sp3d2 hybridization or it undergo d2sp3 hybridization. Okay. So Fa. Then total electron 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 4s. And Fe 3 plus. It has configuration okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 3d5. No electron 4s, 4p and 4d. And when it undergo, when the ligand approaches Fe3 plus and 6, when the ligand approaches, it undergo hybridization. But experimentally it is found that this is so it has shape octahedral. Its shape is octahedral, and experimentally found it has some magnetic moment, that is it has higher magnetic moment. So in this way, as it has higher magnetic moment, instead of these electrons get paired, so So these electrons do not undergo pair, it remains in unpaired form. It remains in unpaired form, and at the time, then how it can form 6, how it can make 6 orbitals available. So to make 6 orbitals available, it uses the outer d orbitals. Here 1 4s orbital, 3 4p orbital, and 2 d orbitals. Okay, so in this way, in the influence of ligands, so when it form bonds with ligands, at that time, under the influence of ligands, all these d electrons remain as such, and it undergo s, p3 and d2 hybridization. So 1 s orbital, 3 p orbital and 2 d orbital. s, p3, d2 hybridization. sp3 d2 hybridization. It undergone sp3 d2 hybridization. Now this F minus ions donate the pair of electron. Okay, so these donate the pair of electron to it. Donate the pair of electrons to it. Okay, in this way this complex is formed. Okay, so this is Fe F6 3 minus. So in Fe F6 this type of arrangement, and the magnetic moment mu found to be 5 convert electron into 7 root over Bm, that is 5.8 Bm. So as this magnetic moment, the calculation value is similar to that of is found nearly equal to the experimental value. Hence the complex for an outer orbital complex. So in this way, Fe6 it has also shape octahedral. It undergone sp3d2 hybridization, and it form outer orbital complex. It forms outer orbital complex. Well, when we consider the case of FeCN whole 6 and 4 minus, it forms inner orbital complex. So which use inner d orbital, that is known as your inner orbital complex. Which use outer d orbital, that is outer orbital complex. Okay, next come to so these are some examples of what? These are some examples of octahedral complexes and outer orbital complex, and this is generally paramagnetic and magnetic moment 5.8 Bohr magneton. Okay, nearly equal to 5.8 Bohr magneton. Next come for the examples of some complexes where the coordination number is 4. This is for coordination number 6. So for coordination number 6, the shape is octahedral. Either it can use inner d orbital or it may use outer d orbital. In this way undergo either D2sp3 hybridization or sp3d2 hybridization. Let's look at complexes with coordination number 4. So if the coordination number is 4, then its shape either tetrahedral or its shape is square planar. So if the shape is tetrahedral, then in the complex the metal atom undergo sp3 hybridization and its square planar it undergo dsp2 hybridization or sp2d hybridization, either using inner d or outer d orbitals. Look at the example of NiCl4 2 minus, NiCl4 2 minus. Okay, so in this case nickel has coordination number 4 and nickel has oxidation number +2. Okay, so electronic configuration of nickel, that is argon 4s2 3d8, and that of Ni2 plus, that is argon 18 then 3d8. Okay, so in this way when we arrange this nickel in its box diagram, so here for argon, for outer shell, this is for 3d 1 2 3 4 5 orbitals in d, and this is for 4s 4p 4s 4p and 4d, this is 3d. So electrons, 2 electrons here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 3d 8. In Ni2 plus, what is the electronic configuration? 2 electrons from this s orbitals are removed. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, now 4s 4p and 4d. So experimentally it is found that this complex is paramagnetic. As this complex is paramagnetic, and from X-ray diffraction study, it is found that the shape is sp3, and for magnetic momentum study it is found that it is paramagnetic. It is paramagnetic in nature. So it is sp3 hybridized, and so sp3 means it requires 1 s orbital and 3 p orbital vacant. So if 1 s and 3 p orbitals vacant and there are 2 unpaired electrons, in this way when it forms NiCl4 2 minus complex, at that time it undergo sp3 hybridization. So sp3 hybridization, it undergo sp3 hybridization, and the Cl minus ions generally donate the pair of electrons here. They donate the pair of electrons here. In this way this complex is formed, and due to presence of these 2 unpaired electrons, its magnetic moment found to be 2 into 4 root over, that is equal to root over 8, so 2.8 billion. Okay, so in this way its magnetic moment found to be this much. So from this experimental data and its calculated data, this is equal, nearly equal. So in this way the complex NiCl4 is formed. So here the hybridization sp3, this is paramagnetic, and magnetic moment is nearly equal to root over 8 bm. Mu equal to root over 8 bm. Okay. So in this way I explain for this. Next come to another example, that is NiCO4, nickel tetracarbonyl. Here the nickel has coordination number 4 and it has oxidation number here 0. So the electronic configuration of nickel is this much and there is no positive charge here. So nickel has configuration this much, no Ni2 plus ion, and from this magnetic behavior it is found that this compound is, this complex is diamagnetic nature. So this complex is diamagnetic nature. As it is diamagnetic, that means all electrons should get paired up. So in this way, as all electrons get paired up, what happens? These two electrons from this 4s electron come to this 3d, post to this 3d orbitals, and all electrons get paired up. In this way, in the influence of ligand, in the influence of ligands, what happens? These 4s electrons come to these 3d orbitals and from X-ray diffraction study, it is found that this is tetrahedral. So coordination number 4, it is tetrahedral, that means sp3 hybridization and diamagnetic nature. So in this way it requires the s orbital vacant. To make this s orbital vacant, these two electrons come to these d orbitals. In this way all the electrons get paired. Now it undergoes sp3 hybridization. sp3 hybridization. So as it undergoes sp3 hybridization, now these carbon monoxide molecules donate the pair of electron to these vacant hybrid orbitals. To form NiCO4. In this way, it is diamagnetic and this is tetrahedral. This is the tetrahedral shape and the magnetic moment mu equal to 0. Okay. Next come to another example, that is NiCN4 minus. So in this case also the coordination number is 4, the oxidation number is +2, and this is also found that this compound is in experimental study it is found that this is square planar. And magnetic moment study found that this is diamagnetic. And square planar. Okay. So in this way nickel and Ni2 plus such configuration, argon 3d8. So this is the electronic configuration of nickel. Next, Ni2 plus (4s), (4p) and (4d). Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is the configuration. nickel ion, then what happens? It is found that this is diamagnetic. So either it undergo sp3 hybridization, but the shape is square planar. In this way, it may undergo either dsp2 or sp2d or sp2d. So if it undergoes sp2d hybridization, sp2 and d2 outer d, then it has two unpaired electron and it should be paramagnetic. But actually this is diamagnetic. That means it undergo dsp2 hybridization. It undergo dsp2 hybridization. So as it undergoes dsp2 hybridization, it requires one d orbital, one inner d orbital vacant. To make the inner d orbital vacant, these electrons from this d orbital come here. So in this way, while it forms NiCN4, 2 minus this d electron comes here, and all the electrons of the 4 d orbitals get paired. Here 4s and here 4p and here. Okay, so dsp2 hybridization. dsp2 hybridization. And these cyanide groups again donate the pair of electrons to here. In this way, this complex is formed. And what is its magnetic moment? No unpaired electron, so 0. 0 in plus 2 multiplied by 0 root over, that is also 0. So in this way, 0 Bm. So in this way, you can explain what are the complexes, how these complexes are formed. So from this valency bond theory, we can determine what is the shape of orbitals. And another thing, for octahedral complex, if there is strong field ligand, if there is present strong field ligand, then it forms inner orbital complex and it forms low spin complex because spin value is less. And in case of outer orbital complex, it forms more number of unpaired electrons. So for weak field ligands, it forms outer orbital complex, more unpaired electrons, and in this way high spin complex. So high spin complex in presence of strong field ligand. So from this valency bond theory, we can find out what is the shape of orbital and how it can explain the magnetic moment. So the magnetic moment shape can be well explained by valency bond theory. But in some cases, it fails to explain the nature of complexes. And another thing, it cannot explain how the complex compound form colored. In this way, a new theory developed that is known as your crystal field theory. Now, next come to crystal field theory. So, according to valency bond theory, the bond between the metal atom and the ligand is purely covalent or coordinate bond. But according to this crystal field theory, the bond between the metal atom and the ligand is purely ionic. That is purely ionic. As the ionic bond takes place in case of crystal, so the bonding between metal and ligand is ionic. That's why this is called crystal field theory. As in crystal, ionic bonds are formed. In this way, ionic bond is formed between metal and ligand. That's why this is called crystal field theory. Next, here the metal atoms are act as point positive charge. So these are act as point positive charge, and the negative charge ligands. Negative charge ligands, they act as negative charge or negative point charge. We can say negative charge or negative point charge. And in case of molecules, so suppose we have taken some ligands as neutral molecules. For neutral molecules, the negative pole, the negative dipole acts as a point charge. Okay, so the force of attraction, as metal is positive charge and the ligand, negative ligand is negative charge, or the neutral molecules of the dipoles of the negative pole is negative charge. In this way, there exists force of attraction between them. At the same time, the electrons present in the d orbitals of metal atom, at the same time, some electrons are present in the d orbitals of metal atom. So there exists force of repulsion between these ligands, the electrons of these ligands, and the electron clouds of d orbitals. Okay. So first thing, there exists force of attraction between metal and ligand, and another thing, there also exists force of repulsion between these d orbitals or these electron clouds of d orbitals of metal and the ligands. So as a result, the degeneracy of these d orbitals is lost. So in which direction these ligands approaches this metal atom, in which direction the ligand approaches this metal atom, and what are the orbitals present there, that orbitals get more repulsion and they get more energy and goes to higher energy state. Okay. Similarly, another thing, if and the other orbitals which get less repulsion, they goes to lower energy state. Similarly, in case of also in this way, this d orbitals splits off. So this splitting of this d orbitals is known as crystal field splitting. And this how much the splitting depends. How much the splitting takes place, that depends on the field strength of ligands. If this is a strong field ligand, then this splitting is more, and if it is a weak field ligand, then the splitting is less. Okay, so this is the main concept of crystal field theory. First, there exists force of attraction, ionic bond of attraction between metal and ligand, and second thing, there also exists force of repulsion between the negative part of this ligand as well as the electron clouds of d orbitals or electrons of d orbitals. And all the d orbitals do not get the same force of repulsion. Some d orbitals get more repulsion, they goes to higher energy state, and some other d orbitals get less repulsion and goes to lower energy state. In this way, these d orbitals split off into two sets, and this splitting is called crystal field splitting. And what is the energy between these two levels? That is known as your crystal field splitting energy or crystal field stabilization energy. Crystal field splitting energy or crystal field stabilization energy. Okay. So in this way, now let us discuss. Let us take the examples of different crystal field splitting. Let us take the example of octahedral case. So crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes. Crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes. So in octahedral complexes, actually how these exist, how this remains. Here remain the metal atom, and suppose this is y-axis, this is x-axis, and this is z-axis. Okay, x-axis, y-axis, and this is z-axis. And this octahedral tail, the ligands remain in the sixth corner of octahedron. So this is the octahedral shape. Okay, here the metal atom remains at the center of this octahedron, and these ligands, which are negative charge, that remain on the six apices of octahedron. Okay, so this exists six orbitals, and you know there are 5 d orbitals, that are dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. So these 3 orbitals, they remain within the axis, in between two axes, in x y axis, in y z axis, or z x axis. But these 2 orbitals, x square minus y square and dz square orbitals, they remain along the axis. So here this z orbital, and here x square minus y square. So dx square minus y square, dz square, it remain along the axis, and it remain within the axis, So it remains within the axis, it remains along the axis. So as it remains along the axis, in this way the orbitals, so here the ligands also remain along the axis. So ligands remain along the axis. In this way, these orbitals get more repulsion and goes to higher energy state, and these orbitals get less repulsion and goes to lower energy state. So these are known as T2G set of orbitals. These are known as EG set of orbitals, and these have generally higher energy. These have generally higher energy, and these have generally lower energy. And each T2G set decreases by energy. So each electrons, so when it comes to the T2G set, so it decreases energy by 0.4 dQ, and here each electron increases its energy by 0.6 dQ. So in this way, the electrons change, the splitting of this electron takes place. Okay, so these orbitals get higher energy, and these orbitals get lower energy. Look here, the energetical diagram. So these are the d orbitals, these are the 5 d orbitals which are so here I am, instead of writing box diagram, here I am writing in oval shape or round shape, okay, in circle shape. So these are 5 d orbitals. They have degenerate state, and when these ligands approaches spherically symmetrically, they excited to slightly higher energy state. So spherically symmetrically influenced by ligands. So when these d orbitals, when these ligands approaches spherically symmetrically, then these d orbitals goes to slightly higher energy. Then this goes to slightly higher energy. And when this ligands approaches, again it splits into 2 sets. So the orbitals which remain along the axis, they goes to higher energy state, and this goes to lower energy state. So these are T2G set orbitals, these are EG set of orbitals, and this is the average energy state. This is known as your barycenter. And what is the difference in this energy from this orbital to this orbital? This is known as your crystal field splitting energy or CFSE. In this way, the splitting of orbitals takes place and the electrons distribution takes place accordingly. And this splitting of energy also depends on the field strength. The splitting also depends on the field strength of ligands. Field strength of ligands. So this splitting also depends on the field strength of ligands. Okay, and for D1, D2, D3 and D8, D9, D10 configuration, the splitting is same whether this is a strong field ligand or a weak field ligand. For strong field ligand, the splitting is more. Strong field ligand, for strong field ligand, splitting is more. And for weak field ligand, splitting is less. In this way, different arrangement of electrons takes place. So for D1, D2, D3, D8, D9, D10, the splitting is same whether strong field ligand or weak field ligand. But these are different for D4, D5 and D6. So the arrangement of electrons in D4, D5, D6 is different for strong field ligand or weak field ligand. But these are same for strong field ligand and weak field ligand for the configuration D1 to D10. Next come to how this tetrahedral splitting takes place. So in case of tetrahedral complex, generally the metal atom remain in the center of a cube. Here the metal atom remain and the ligands are present at opposite corners, and these are present at opposite corners. In this way it gives a tetrahedral shape. Okay, so if you join these points, it gives a tetrahedral shape. So in this way the orbitals, that is dxy, dyz, dzx, that remain in between the axis, and they get more repulsion and goes to higher energy state. Goes to higher energy state. And the orbitals dx square minus y square and dz square, they remain along the axis and they get less repulsion and goes to lower energy state, and they goes to lower energy state. And this, so in this way the splitting is just reverse of octahedral field. Just the reverse of octahedral field. Look here. So these are the 5 degenerate d orbitals. Okay, 5 degenerate d orbitals. And when these are influenced by spherically symmetrically by ligands, when influenced by spherically symmetrically ligands, this goes to higher energy state and again it splits into two sets. So here the T2G set and here the EG set. but in spectroscopic term, these are known as your E sets for tetrahedral, and these are known as your T2 set. And this difference in energy is known as crystal field splitting energy or crystal field stabilizing energy. And the average energy center, this is known as your barycenter. Here also, when each d orbital goes to lower energy state, so its energy is decreased by minus 0.6 dq, and here each T2G set increased by its energy 0.4 dq. Okay, so in this way, the splitting of orbitals, d orbitals takes place under the influence of tetrahedral field. And another thing, in the tetrahedral field, the splitting energy is less than that of octahedral field. The splitting in tetrahedral field is less than that of octahedral field. So experimentally, it is found that so in tetrahedral field, splitting is less. So experimentally it is found that this del O, the splitting energy in del O, 4 by 9 del O equal to del Tt. So 4 by 9 del O equal to del Tt. So this is the tetrahedral splitting and this is the octahedral splitting. Okay, so this splitting, how much this splitting takes place and what is this crystal field splitting energy, that depends on 4 factors. Okay, so this crystal field splitting depends on 4 factors. CFSE depends on 4 factors. 1. Nature of ligand. If the ligand is strong field, then splitting is more. And if the ligand is a weak field ligand, then the splitting is less. And another, that is the oxidation state. Oxidation state. Higher oxidation state, more splitting. Higher oxidation state, then more splitting. And another factor, that is type of d orbital. Type of d orbital. Suppose we consider 3d, 4d and 5d with the same oxidation state. State, 5d has more splitting energy than that of 4d, than that of 3d. And another factor, that is your nature. That is your so octahedral, another your type of complex. Type of complex. So this type of complex, that is your del O. Octahedral splitting is more. Del O, 4 del O equal to 9 del T. Okay, so in this way. So the nature of ligands. Some ligands are more splits to the d orbital and some d orbitals split less. So the arrangement of all the ligands in the increasing order of their crystal field splitting is known as spectrochemical series. Arrangement of all ligands in increasing order of splitting energy, in the increasing order of splitting energy is called spectrochemical series. Spectrochemical series, and this series is I minus, Br minus, HCl minus, Cl minus, minus 2, NO3 minus, F minus, OH minus, C2O4 2 minus, H2O, NCS, ETTA, NH3, pyridine, ethylene diamine, NO2 minus, Cn minus, Cu. So there is a large spectrochemical series, but for easier to remember, just remember that is halogen donor has less splitting than that of oxygen donor, than that of nitrogen donor, than that of carbon donor. So any ligand, when there is halogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, so this has less splitting and this has higher splitting. So the crystal field splitting in tetrahedral, in octahedral, in case of octahedral, for D1, D2, D3 and D8, D9, D10, in all cases the crystal field splitting is same whether these are strong field ligand or weak field ligand. Let us look at one example. Suppose D1 is there and the splitting in octahedral complexes. This is EG set, this is T2G set, and suppose this is for T2G set and this is T2G set and this is EG set of orbitals. Suppose this is weak field ligand and this is strong field ligand. Okay, weak field ligand and this is the strong field ligand. For D1 configuration, 1 electron here, we are here also 1 electron. So for D2 configuration, 2 electron here and 2 electrons are also here. For D3 configuration, 3 electrons are here and 3 electrons are here. But for D4 configuration, when it comes for D4, so 1, 2, 3, if the ligand is weak field, then 3 electrons come here and another electron comes here. Okay, if the field strength is less. But if this is a strong field ligand, then 1, 2, 3 and as the splitting energy is more, del O is greater than its pairing energy, splitting energy is more, so in this way it gets paired. Okay, so these electrons get paired. Similarly, in case of D5, 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, electronic configuration like this, and in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, similarly for D6, weak field ligand, strong field ligand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Suppose D7. In case of D7 also, here comes and 1 electron. So for D1, D2, D3, D8, D9, D10, these are same configuration for weak field ligand as well as strong field ligand. Strong field ligand. But this is different arrangement for D5, D6, D7, D8. For D4, D5, D6, D7. In this way, they have different arrangement. And look here, 3 examples of D4, D5 and D6. In this case, 3 electrons here, 2 electrons. So, but here there is only 1 electron remains here. In case of D4, so in this way, more number of electrons are unpaired electrons are present in weak field ligand and in case of strong field ligand, less number of unpaired electrons are present. So in this way, the strong field ligands are generally high spin give high spin. The weak field ligands generally give high spin complex, and the strong field generally gives low spin complex. So the spin value is less. It gives high spin complex and it gives low spin complex. Here the electrons are paired and here the electrons are free, spin free. So low high spin, also called spin free ligands. Okay, and another thing, there is a energy gap between these d orbitals, between this T2G set, EG set, T2G set, EG set. In this way, one electron can excited to here. So when an electron is excited to here, at that time it absorbs some energy from visible region. So as it absorbs some energy in visible region, what are the all other energies remains that are either reflected or transmitted, that are known as complementary color, which is observed. So generally, when in case of some splitting energy, when these are splits into two sets, when these d orbitals splits into two sets, then electrons from here, from this lower state to higher state, get excited by absorbing some amount of energy from the visible region and exhibits its complementary color. For example, if we consider the case of copper sulfate pentahydrate. Suppose we consider the case of copper sulfate pentahydrate CuSO4 dot H2O. It exists as Cu H2O whole 4 SO4 dot H2. So due to presence of these ligands as water, this d orbitals splits up into two sets and the unpaired electrons of copper excited from one d orbital to another d orbital. D transition takes place. It absorbs the orange color. It absorbs orange color and imparts the blue color, the complementary color, that is blue color. Okay. Similarly, if we consider, but in the absence of water molecule, suppose anhydrous copper sulfate, there is no ligand. So anhydrous, in case of anhydrous copper sulfate, no ligand, no splitting, and no transition of electrons. No transition of electrons. Hence, anhydrous copper sulfate, this is colorless. But hydrated copper sulfate, due to presence of ligands, there is the splitting of d electrons. So as the d electron splits, the electrons from lower energy state to higher energy state goes by absorbing some energy from the visible region and imparts the color, the complementary color. It absorbs orange color and imparts blue color. Okay. Similarly, COH6 3 minus, generally it absorbs, due to presence of these ligands, it absorbs red color and appear green color. Field strength is less, so high wavelength. And another CONH3 whole 6 3 plus, it absorbs blue color and appear complementary orange color. Okay, so this is a strong field ligand. As it is a strong field ligand, it absorbs blue color, and as it is the splitting is more, so as the splitting splitting is more, so it absorbs blue color. That is the high energy region. Or and CuF6 minus, as the field strength is less, that the splitting is less. Field strength is less, splitting is less. In this same high wavelength region or less energy region, it absorbs from less energy region, and emits the complementary color, that is green color. So as the field strength is more, it absorbs from high energy region, that is blue color, and emits or imparts orange color. So this is all about crystal field theory.